I'm so glad that a lot of you are here to be part of this for 3 days. And I just wanted to start off with a little bit of background history on who I am, why I got into this thing. So I've been photographing weddings now for 17 years, and I started at the tender young age of 45. You can add the numbers together and figure out how old I am now. But having said that, at 45, I took a photo that defined who I am today as a photographer. And I was in the midst of a PhD program in psychology at UCLA. And I've always been one to kind of believe in following one's passion. I don't care what it is. If it's needlepoint, if that's your passion, go do it. And interestingly enough, so far in my life, the passions that I followed, money always followed. If I could just say this, and if you could take this with you for a second, note that if your priority is business and money first, and secondarily it's your passion or why you really want to do this, I think it's a little backwards from the way that I see things. I think if you put passion first, the money follows. And if you put passion first and you function from that place, and part of the 3 days will be about that, is I'm going to help you focus back in, because you can't help but eventually turn this thing into a business. But in doing so, we lose sight of the passion that started this for us to begin with. Everybody that I know that is a photographer picked up a camera because they absolutely loved it. And so once they start thinking about how am I going to make money at this, they lose sight of that because there's so much involved in the business aspect of photography that we forget the reason we're really doing this because we love it. So what I try and help people do in my workshops is get back in touch with that. So I'm going to preface right now with something that I'm going to tell you to do once you leave this 3-day workshop. And I'm going to touch on it along the 3 days, okay? When you leave here, when you shut off the TV and you no longer are part of this workshop, I want you to go home, or if you're already home, obviously, I want you to pick out your favorite images you've ever taken, okay? Your absolute favorite, not someone else's, your favorite photos. And I want you to earnestly study those photos that you love so much. I want you to go into the bedroom, turn on a little music, lock the door, bring a glass of wine, and I want you to look at those photos. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Eventually, you're going to find yourself in every one of those pictures. Because that's what this is about for me. It is about who you are as a person that defines your photography, that defines your style. See, if you think about it, it's not just about the picture. When someone looks at it, it's not just about the photo, the content of the image. It also speaks about the photographer who took it. So there is no way that you can take a picture and not leave a piece of yourself in every image that you take. So I want you to hunt that down. I want you to find yourself in your photos. That, for me, took a few years to get to kind of figure out why am I taking pictures. And then when I started seeing and being moved by some of these images, I realized as I was looking at this as the psychologist, that it was myself that I was looking at. See, if you think about it, photojournalism, which is primarily my style of shooting, is such that if you had like 15 photographers show up at an event, and they're all photojournalists from all these different stations or newspapers, and a moment unfolds in front of all 15 of them, the shutters will go off. Are all the pictures the same? It's impossible. It's dependent on who grabbed that shot as to what defined that moment for them, and that's based on who they are. Is that a moment? People ask me a lot of times, how come there's so much emotion in your work? It's because I'm a suck for emotion. When I was a little kid, I really didn't have that growing up. I never really saw the chemistry between a man and a woman, a husband and a father. I just never saw it. So I seek it out now as an adult, the stuff that I missed as a kid. So when I go to a wedding, I'm usually the first person to cry. I beat the bride to it, which is my payoff. My payoff is to be in those moments that are so emotional. And so I go back to, that's because that's who I am. And so therefore, I want you to find out who you are as a photographer. Why are you taking these pictures from behind all the time or over the shoulder? Is there something about you that happened back in your childhood, you know, back in where you grew up or in the environment that you were raised or brought up? What was it there that made you take these same similar photos? And eventually you'll find yourself in every one of your pictures. And that's what this is about. It's about who we are as people and how that affects our work and how that affects our clients, which I'm going to show you in a minute in the pitch. Okay, so that 17 years ago, that one photo defined everything for me. I'm going to go do this. And so I said to myself, well, how? What in photography can I do where this can be expressed? How can I express myself? And it so happened I had just spent a couple of weeks at weddings that were friends' weddings, and I kept walking away and silently saying, wish I had a camera in my hand. And it wasn't until that picture that I went back to those days and realized the reason I said that was while the photographer that was hired was probably doing a bang-up job, doing the formals for 2.5 hours, he missed everything that went on behind him, everything. And I said, my gosh, that's what it is. It's the story of the wedding. It's not so much about who was there, and yes, we have to document a little bit who was there. It was more about what happened. What happened? Where did it happen? Why? You know, I mean, all these other questions were really never answered, right? And so that's what I wanted to answer. And clearly, those were the days, 17 years ago, when it was Hasselblad, medium format, with lighting, power packs, a trolley, all this wonderful stuff. And here comes Joe with a little bag with 35mm equipment. And everybody laughed me out, saying, you're a flash in the pan, you're going to last all of 4 months, 5 months, you'll be out of here. 17 years ago. I still laugh at the person that said that to me, because I make 10 times as what he makes. But having said that, this is why we're here, okay? What I've witnessed over the last few years is that this industry has kind of unraveled a little bit from where it was. It used to be really a sought-after arena to be in as a worker, as an artist, and now not so much, because I think people are, you know, and I can understand why, are looking for the quick fix. They're looking for the silver bullet. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't exist. It's nose to the grindstone. It's earnestly studying your craft, and I call it a craft. I call it an art form. It's all those things to me, and hopefully to you. Because when you come from that place where this is an art form for you or self-expression for yourself and how you feed that passion that you have, you will absolutely do the best, potentially according to what is your God-given talent as a photographer. And then on top of that, whatever you learn, you add into the mix of that. And it's a lifelong process versus that this is like, tomorrow I want to make $10,000 a wedding. It just doesn't work that way. So take your time, study, find out who you are, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised down the road. I promise you that. So from those 2 weddings, I decided to do a couple of weddings for free. First, having asked if it was okay, I went to other friends' weddings after I went to my first couple of friends' weddings. I had acquaintances that got married and said, I have this idea, I took a photo, I want to become a wedding photographer. Can I come to your wedding and grab a couple cameras? And then I realized I might be stepping on the professional's toes. So I said, can you please let me know who that professional is? And I called that person. I said, look, I'm not a photographer. I'm a guest. I'm a friend that's there. But I'm going to bring some 35mm equipment. They didn't care because 35, I'm Hasselblad. I'm the professional. Okay, cool. So I came in, and my heroes are Henri Cartier-Bresson, Robert Duano, Willie Roney, Robert Frank. I mean, the list is endless of these masters from the 30s, 40s, and 50s that shot black and white film, and they shot it on 35mm equipment. So I said, that's what I want to do. I want to come in light, make a very small footprint when I arrive at the wedding so that people really don't notice me instead of pulling out lights. So I'm going to be an available light kind of guy, and every once in a while my flash will be available as well. So I had that attitude of low footprint, unseen, fly on the wall kind of person. That's what I wanted to be at a wedding. So I went there, I made 10 prints. I show my prints like this. And you'll know, we'll talk about this, but I sign all my prints. I don't tell the client sitting in front of me, the prospective bride and groom, that I'm an artist or I sign my artwork. It's not about that for me. It's more about, here's the image and here's a little kernel that you'll see that might be a suggestion that I sign my work. My albums are signed as well. And the reason I do that is that if you go to galleries or museum, all the pieces that you look at are always signed. They're numbered, they're signed. So I'm just merely suggesting, if this is art to you, well, it's clearly art to me. That's why I sign it. And when we go over packages and prices, third day, I'll let you know that one of the things that I have on here is my 11 by 14s are $250, signed for $500. And I'd say about 50–60% of my clients will buy them signed. They'll want me to sign it. Why? Because I showed it to them. I suggested that my signature is worth something. And you know, clearly it's okay if it's not. I'm cool with that. $250 for an 11 by 14, I'm fine with that. It's all good. $500, a little better. Interestingly enough, clients that hire you, what you've shown them, they want. So if all you show them is a slideshow, guess what they're going to ask you at the end of it? Can I have a slideshow? And I know that's like a major complaint, that their clients are always asking for a slideshow and they never buy prints. Well, honestly, do you show prints like this? And most of mine in the studio, I brought these for being easier to travel with, are matted 16 by 20. So they're matted, they're 8-ply fronts, foam core backs, so they're pretty heavy duty. Then I hand it to my client to look at. They feel it, they touch it. When they book me, this is what they want. They'll probably get anywhere from 4 to 6 images that they want to frame and put on the wall, because I pitched it that way. See, when I show you my pitch in a few minutes, what I'm selling in that pitch is not my work. It already did its work when they saw it online. What I am selling is me. What I'm selling is the experience of having me at the wedding versus someone else. So again, I don't go out verbally and, you know, and just let them know, hey, I'm just selling myself. I am absolutely showing them who I am, why I love what I do, and in the way that I present my work. When they book me, they're booking me because they would rather have me there than anyone else. And yeah, okay, the work's okay. Okay? So if you think about it, when clients come to see you in your studio, they've narrowed it down to 3, 5, 6 people already, right? Because this is how they do it now. They shop online. They narrow it down from 20, 30. I've had brides say, bless you, I've had brides say hundreds of photographers that they've researched. And they've narrowed it down to less than a handful. So when they sit in front of me, it's no longer that necessary to pitch the work. What I'm doing when I'm talking or I'm showing the work is I'm actually pitching myself. And you'll see that in a minute. Okay? That is crucial to me. And we go back to what I said in the beginning. It's who I am that I'm selling. The most important thing about photography, the most important thing, is who you are. And over the next 3 days, you're going to find out why. Okay? So back to having started. So in the beginning, I ended up with 10 prints. I did my first few weddings at $700 a wedding, plus $20 per roll of film that I shot. Those were the expenses. Okay, so $700. So I can probably speak to a lot of people that are online right now that are going, how am I going to make money at this? Today, I'm roughly on the average anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 per wedding. That's what I get. And that's even in this tough time. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up, and here's a bit of a disclaimer, okay? I'm in Beverly Hills, I'm in Hollywood, I deal with celebrity clients. People have money. I do a lot of out-of-country gigs, the people that have money. So if you're in Iowa, Idaho, in a little farm community, and I'm talking $15,000 at you, don't sweat it, because if I went there, they would laugh me out of town, okay? Yeah, I'm more like $800, $1,000, $1,500 tops. I get it. So be aware that this is all based on where you are, where you sell yourself, or where you promote yourself. So in the beginning, I was already based in LA, and I already dealt with the Hollywood crowd. I decided to put myself into New York as well. Okay, so I went to New York with it. I put my name out there because that's where the money was. So you don't necessarily have to target the audience or your clientele that are in your community. If your community is a farm community, you can go outside of it. I mean, I travel constantly to Santa Barbara, that I drive to San Diego. That's 2 hours, 2.5 hours for me. I don't mind. I don't charge for travel time. It's whatever it takes to go to the bigger cities where there are the clumps of money that will hire me. So don't be afraid to go outside of your arena. A lot of people get stuck. Well, there's no money where I am. Well, I get that. So then go somewhere else. Now internet, it can't stop you. Back then, 17 years ago, I feared having a 323 number because in New York they go, that's LA. No, skip it. So I got an 800 number so that they couldn't tell where I was. And the reason I did that was by the time they called me and fell in love with me, it didn't matter that I was in LA and they flew me out. Initially, if they see that, oh, that's an out-of-state number or whatever, they may, okay, maybe I won't do that because they think of expenses. Again, when they're in front of me, what am I doing? I'm selling me. At that point, if they buy me and who I am, expenses kind of go away a little bit. Not always. Don't get me wrong. There's times there is a limit on the budget, and I understand that. But you know how many times I've had a bride in front of me that had she known on the internet that I was at $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, and her budget was $8,000, she would say, I'm not even going to go see him. So I don't put my prices online. But when they sat in front of me and then they found out how much I was, they looked at each other and said, well, honey, what if we cut back 4 hors d'oeuvres? All of a sudden, because now I want to work for her, because why? Photography is important to her. I want to work for someone who the photography is that important to, that they're willing to compromise other little pieces of their wedding to get me. God bless them. That's awesome. So when I'm done, the ultimate goal for me is when they book me, that we're reading the same book and we're on the same page. And I usually see that after 4 or 5 images when I see a tear rolling down her face. And she goes, oh my God, it's not even my wedding. Oh no, but it is your wedding. I'm talking about your wedding too. Because I'm pitching me. I'm the same person at this wedding as I will be at yours. Same person. And that's what you're buying. You think about experience. There's 3 levels. You can be a commodity. Okay? You can be a commodity where everything is based on price. You can step it up from the commodity level and you can be a service. You can be service-oriented. I will provide books. All of a sudden, you're a step above that. That deserves a little more money. But the ultimate, the 3rd level, is you can be an experience. That's what you're trying to sell. I want you to think Ritz-Carlton, 4 Seasons Hotel. Okay? If you drive up to the Ritz-Carlton in LA, in Marina del Rey, where I live in California, and you pull into the driveway, a man comes out. He's got a little walkie. He's got a little earpiece, and he's got a little walkie-talkie. He pops the trunk. He sees your suitcase in it. He gets your name, and he rings it back to the front desk. It's Mr. Buissink. Oh yeah, he's been here with us before. He's back. Guy greets me, says, welcome back, Mr. Buissink. Really? How'd you know my name? How'd you know I was even back? How awesome is that? And you walk, they lead you into the front, at the front desk, and all of a sudden you may ask, excuse me, where's the bathroom? They don't point. It's down the hall and to the right. They walk you there, right to the front door. And they say, have a great day, Mr. Buissink. And they walk away. That's why you're paying $400 for that night, for that bed, the same bed the Holiday Inn or Motel 6 has for $69. It's a bed, maybe a little more comfy, Ritz. But that said, You're paying for an experience, more money. And that's what I want to do with my photography. I want to be an experience so that, and sometimes it's a bitter pill to swallow, and since '08 it has been, and I'll talk about the adjustments I've made on the third day in packages. But people pay for the experience. People pay for the experience. Okay? If you are clumped together with everybody else as a commodity and you're arguing and comparing each other over price, they're going to get the cheapest they can. They're going to put A against B against C. Well, hey, he down the street will give me that plus add a book. Can you match that? How many times do you get that, right? That's because you're a commodity. As an experience, there's only one experience. That's mine. You can have another experience. There's plenty of them out there. But I'm pitching my experience. That's what I want $15,000 for. And it's worth it. By the time they leave, they know it's worth it. Okay? So we'll talk about that a little bit. So pretty much that's how I got started. $750, and 17 years later, I'm still plugging away at $1,520. Now, having just booked 2 weddings in China, and 1 in Indonesia, and 1 in Paris, they're between $30,000 and $40,000 each. Because that's where the money is. They have our money. I want to bring some of it back. So I'm outside of the country now because, I go wherever the money is, where they can afford me. And it's not, and you'll see this, it's not just about the money, but I want to afford myself a nice living and get my retirement going. Since I started at 45, a little late in the game, but, I'm now starting to slow down a little bit. But, God, what a great ride it's been. You guys are going to love this. Do this and do it for the right reasons, and you're going to absolutely fall in love, which I'm sure most of you already are anyway. All right, so that's pretty much how I started, and this is where I am today. And the pitch is the most amazing thing that I can show you that I do that sells who I am.